this paper right here. This first line is you. The second person is the person you're observing. This sheet will not be filled out until we finish this seminar completely. And for right now, it may be tomorrow, it may be on Monday morning, that's fine. You'll only focus on this back side. Remember, this is full of check marks or tally marks or whatever when that person does said thing. Okay, those of you who have Post-it notes, you should be in the outer circle. That is your means to communicate with your inner person. Okay, do not waste them. They are my own personal Post-its. Okay, only keep it content and text specific. All right, Brooklyn, since you can probably see our board with questions the best, I'm gonna let you start off with that opening question, okay, and be our facilitator.
Okay, do
you
I
wanna read
answer
that
the
for me?
question after I read it?
You
or
can
do
if
it?
you'd like.
Okay, fine. Okay. What word, phrase, or quote is the most important in this entire text, and why? I said I personally think the most important word is agender. Agender is such a big word in this book, especially because that is somewhat of why the fire happened. You have to learn to understand the meaning of the word to know that this was someone's personal choice of what to do. Like on page 33, where Dashka Slater had to write the definitions of words to help us understand things that aren't part of our normal train of thought. I know many, including me, have had troubles with saying he, she instead of they. The word is one of the main parts of the book, and that is why I think it's the most important word.
I said that my answer was they, because it is literally the one word that people correct themselves on the most, and that Sasha chose to use above all other possible pronouns that she could have chosen for her agender thing, and their agender thing, and because it is the starting point of Luke/Sasha's journey.
I believe that the most important quote in the entire book, well, one of the most important quotes in the entire book would have to be, being a gender simply means that the person doesn't feel like they're either boy or girl. Because that's true about Sasha and almost all agender people. Actually, all agender people. So.
I also went with the quote, but you guys are mainly focusing on agenderness and non-binary things like that, while I focused on a specific quote that said, "Then as he looked back and stopped, transfixed as Sasha's skirt erupted into a sheet of flames. When the door closed, he hadn't moved." I thought this was probably the most important quote of the text because it talks about what this entire book was centered around. It's called the 57 Bus to tell about Sasha's life and Richard's life and how the fire put them together, and without this quote even happening, I don't think there would really be a book to tell. So
I said, I had a quote too, and I felt that it was one of the most important things. It said, "I did wrong and I'm sorry and I hope you get better." And that was from one of the letters that Richard wrote to Sasha, but they didn't read it till like 11 months later, and that was on page 269. I feel like this is very important to the story because if Richard did a terrible thing to Sasha, and it could have been way worse if he did not ask for forgiveness. Richard cared for Sasha's family and wanted to tell them he was sorry. If he did not do this, then the book would be a whole other story, and Richard would look like a self-centered monster, but instead he said he was sorry, accepted the consequences given.
I say the most important phrase for the book is "I'm on fire," because on page 114, Richard is when born Sasha playing with a lighter, and well, the story can be continued without this, because without this even happening, because this is the main idea of the book.
I've said that the most important word was forgiveness because it makes an impact on all the main characters like Richard and Carl and Debbie and Sasha, because they all forgave Richard, and without that forgiveness then they probably wouldn't, like Jasmine was like Richard and Jasmine, like they probably wouldn't talk to Sasha's family because they would still think that they were mad at Richard for doing that, and without the forgiveness then they probably wouldn't like each other, and it helps bring the two families together, and it makes them realize who Richard is and from the letters, and that he what am I trying to say? That they just forgave Richard, which was like a big part in the book.
Pulling it back to Brooklyn, I agree that the most important word in the text to me was agender, mostly because it's the first half, and also it's just in the whole entire book. The book revolves around the idea of gender and the struggles of teens realizing how they feel or who they are, to accept themselves, how it will feel for them, and everything. And that was Sasha's whole experience, and it took them a while to like find out who they were and how they felt. And even with seeing other people like saying they were trans and everything, she didn't really understand most of it, and they always felt awkward if someone would refer to them as he, she pronouns. And I actually went to another website to look up how important it is for you calling someone by their pronouns, and it said that when someone is referred to with the wrong pronouns, it can make them feel disrespected, invalidated, dismissed, aliened, or dysphoric, and often most above, which I feel is a really big struggle for hearing, like, because teens are where you think the most, use your head the most, and it's where you're trying to figure out who you are and where you're placed in the world, and like what you're gonna be, what college is, like you focus on a lot of things, and gender is like a box that people just put yourself in. There's boy and girl, and no one thinks about they, them, the trans, and all the listed that was in the book. And it also tied in with Cody's, like the quote that you said, because after the fire, Richard stated that he was homophobic to cover up, which was a lie, we found out. And it was just, I feel agender just was tied into everything that happened in the book.
I as well. I thought that Bailey made a really good point with forgiveness, because that is a very, very big part of the book. And talking about the book itself, I would think that the fire and quotes around that would be a big part. But if you think, because when I did this, I was thinking a little bit more than the book itself, and so I think I do see where you guys were coming from about the fire, but I do think that agender and something to do around that is more like important, because that would still be there unless, like, even if the fire didn't happen, that's still going to be there throughout Sasha's life. And so even if the fire did happen, it's still just like a very, very big part of Sasha and who they are.
Adding on to what Brooklyn said, the book wouldn't really happen if Sasha wasn't agender, because it's considered a hate crime. Like, Richard lit her skirt on fire because of what she was wearing. Like what Carl said, if she was wearing jeans, then it wouldn't have been that. And like, if the book would be totally different if Sasha wasn't agender, because then the fire would, her skirt wouldn't have been lit on fire, and then their skirt would have been lit on fire. Then Richard wouldn't have gone to jail, and then the book would wouldn't be there without the word agender.
Well, if you think about it like that, you could say that about a million different things. You could say, what if Richard had saw it and it was still just a girl wearing a skirt, but they had masculine qualities? Like, would that still have happened with the peer pressure there? Or, just what if it was like a trans person or something like that? You can never just see different outcomes based off of something that already happened in the past. We can't change what had happened, but it's good points. Like, I bet if Sasha wasn't agender, probably most of it would have never happened, but there was still always that chance if something happened to us.
Yeah, I agree, but like Miss Bonner was saying everything, we can always just keep saying what if, and it doesn't really get us anywhere. So I feel like we had to like think about it from a different perspective other than just what if this wasn't there, what if this wasn't there, what if this didn't happen. So I feel like that we shouldn't keep going on the what if this happened, what if this didn't happen.
I mean, doing that what if thing is very entertaining when it comes to like fictional stories and stuff, because those aren't real though. Because in real life, what ifs never happen. They're not, it's nothing that's going to get you anywhere. You really just need to think about what actually happened and how you can move forward from that.
I personally think, because I very much like doing what ifs because it makes me think differently about the book, but it's not gonna really get you anywhere because you can't change what already happened because it already happened. I mean, it's like someone could have stopped Richard from lighting their skirt on fire, but then like you can't change that now because that was in the past. And so now that you can't change that, I don't think that pondering on what ifs is so much of a good idea because it's not really going to get you anywhere while thinking about it.
Yeah, because with what ifs, there's really almost infinite answers. Because there's always going to be the answer, but it didn't happen, because it didn't happen. That what if scenario didn't actually happen. It could have, but it didn't. So there's really no point in thinking about it. You just need to think about what they're gonna do in the future and how they're gonna come back from it.
Yeah, going along with that, like, nobody did stop Richard, and we can't change that because it's in the past now. So like, nobody can go back and help and tell Richard to not do it. And same with what nobody like told the bus driver to stop the bus like in enough time for Sasha, and the bus driver didn't notice it. But like, we can't go back and tell him to stop the bus. So we need to go, and we can't like go back and say, well, what if this happened?
Okay, so bringing it back to the original question here, do you guys think that besides a, gender, and identity, and they, them, their, do you think there's anything else in particular in this book that stood out to you or just really spoke to you?
The mental health of both Sasha and Richard. There's a lot of things. There's depression, loneliness, transitions into middle school, high school, college, or adulthood. They were both at that age where they had to start thinking of what they were going to be, and then the fire happened and it just affected everything. And even like there's academic stress, and Sasha was going through like trying to find herself. Even like she didn't make it themselves. They didn't make it like a huge deal like I would think most people would, because I mean they didn't mind like if they didn't like if someone didn't know them, they wouldn't mind like them saying he or she because it wasn't their fault. Like they didn't know that's what they referred to, but then they would like say, hey, I like this. Like they weren't ashamed of being who they were. But then if you thought deeper about what they were going through and what Richard witnessed murders and his family just dropping one by one, and all he wanted was like acceptance and his friends to like him, so he gave into the pressure of doing that to Sasha and not realizing like his health state after it and what would happen. And I actually have stuff right here of like parents like asking like it's a percentage of what they think is like the most, what issues about their children's mental health concern the parents. And for depression and loneliness, 22% said that was their concern, or for transition to adulthood, 20.7, like academics, 16.6, home environment, like 53, developing a strong, healthy work ethic is 5.4, and like there's just a lot of things that like deeper into the book that like affects it, and I don't really think that people realize that about it, like because all of this could tie into like why Richard did that, or why Sasha chose to consider themselves like what they are, and it's just there's a lot of possibilities, or like you need a lot of self-acceptance to do what Sasha did, which like they were really strong to do that, I believe. I just feel like that was another important thing that that people don't realize that goes on in the book.
And obviously we can tell that Richard was not thinking at the moment because like Caprice said that he, like, if he would be thinking, he probably wouldn't have done that, and like Jasmine was sticking up for him and all of that. And so, and then with Sasha and the mental health of them, I feel like Sasha had so much confidence in themselves that they didn't need to correct anybody if they said he or she, because throughout the book, Sasha just is very confident in themselves and their actions and their choices. So I don't feel like Sasha would have any need to correct anybody, because if they are accepting of themselves, they don't need anybody else to be accepting of them otherwise.
Okay, for time's sake, we're gonna change questions, okay?
I
I know. Do you see why we only got through like 2 questions, like the other hours? This is good conversation, but we wanna get other people in.
I wanted to move it to the next question.
Okay, so if whoever your next person is, you need to change seats, or if you need to at least turn into your wingman and go over the second question, which is the first beginning.
Ben's our next person.
Okay, so you would just have an invisible person, unless one of you wanna get up there and speak, it's fine too.
Ready?
Sure.
Alright.
I wanted to.
Y'all better be prepared for a rant.
I will. I'm sorry.
I think
I am ready to hear this rant. How long is this?
I mean, this is not very long. It's probably longer than 30 seconds.
Is it like a 2-minute monologue?
Mine are short.
Less than that, 20 minutes. But I would. I feel like my rant is this one.
Oh, I said
Then, like, I think
It's literally right.
Alright, for time's sake, let's turn it in. We're gonna go to our first beginning question. Section 1, 9 through 56, right? Okay, Brooklyn, since you did such a spectacular job with the opening, I'm gonna let you keep going because you can probably see the board the best out of everybody.
Okay. Sasha had a friend named Samantha who became transgender early on in the book, pages 21 through 25. Do you think that had an influence on Sasha becoming agender? What other things do you think had an influence towards Sasha? I said, I don't think that Samantha/Andrew had an influence on Sasha except for their confidence. The only thing I think had an influence on Sasha was their own thoughts and feelings. Doing something as big as becoming agender isn't really something that can be influenced by someone else, because it's changing your life. Agender and transgender are 2 completely different things altogether. I think Samantha's confidence in making the right decision for her/him may have given Sasha a bit more confidence in their choice, but not becoming agender altogether. Sasha became agender because of their thoughts and their feelings on how they felt on the inside, not those of Andrew's. You can't just think, oh well, they did it, so I will too, with something that big. I do see where the group that made this question is coming from, but I think it was Sasha that influenced them. And if Andrew had influenced Sasha, I personally would think that Sasha might hold a bit of a grudge against Andrew because becoming agender was mainly the reason that the skirt was set on fire, and nowhere in the book did it say anything about holding a grudge against Andrew that we know of.
So I said that I think it had some influence. I can see where you're coming from, and I said yes though because I believe that it definitely gave Sasha like that extra push to actually act on her thoughts and feelings, because she saw their thoughts and feelings, because they saw Samantha had become a different gender, and she changed her gender, so that gave Sasha the idea that, well, since she must have done it, then I guess I could pull up the bravery to do it myself and identify as what I think I should be, and go through with my thoughts and feelings and not hold back.
Okay.
Well, when I read this question for the first time, the question that like came to my head is, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you?
Yes.
And if you'd smart, you'd obviously say no. If you see other people, like, you know, jumping off a bridge and killing themselves, you wouldn't want that. It's kind of the same to me. I agree totally with Brooklyn and like Lucas and how like saying it had some effect, but I only feel like they had like a lot of confidence in the first part. Like they were never ashamed to do anything that they wanted to do. They wore skirts, they dressed, they talked however they wanted to, and didn't like let anyone get to them. And so maybe the confidence like from Samantha and gave Sasha like confidence too, but I really don't feel like it was that much. It was like no one has an effect on how like that big of a decision. It's like moving to a new house, like choosing to go to college. There's so many big decisions that you have to make by yourself, like you and you alone. And like yeah, they had support from their friends, and like they talked about how their friends came out and all these things that, and they were all confident. And but like Sasha explained in the book, like they didn't like really understand too well until like they looked it up, and because it said that she like they made the new name for themselves, like Sasha, and so they had to like look up a bunch of definitions for genders so they could get a better explanation. And like the Cupid sexual, gray sexual, like they looked all of it up to like help themselves because they didn't have like that big of a grip. So it was them finding themselves.
Well, I think they were outlets for each other, Sasha and Andrew, because it says on page 28 and 29 they're like talking to each other, and Sasha's like questioning like how Andrew knew he was a guy, and then Andrew just says they knew, and then after the fact Andrew like talks, and he says how it was another thank God moment because he realized that he wasn't alone in this.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And so I feel like just the little push to get there and to like say that you're agender and push to the world that you are agender and like thinking about that. Because I don't think that overall Samantha had a huge effect on Sasha, but just I feel like the little push and like I like Andrew was I guess like the hamster of it and like the test hamster, so that Sasha could like get a little insight on what it would be like to like change your world like that and if it was good or not. And so then that pushed Sasha to become agender.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I agree with Brooklyn, but I do believe that it affected her in some way or another, like you guys said, her confidence or just a little just the little push to get them overboard. But I feel like Samantha was just an example of what it's like to be different. Because on the page, I don't remember what page it was. Oh wait, no, this is it. On pages 26 and 27, when Samantha says, "I have something important to tell you to Sasha," and tells Sasha that they feel like they're transgender, and Sasha goes, "Okay, if that's what you feel like you should be going by, that's what you should go by. Now, what's that important thing that you told me? Or you wanted to tell me?" And that just kind of made me feel like, oh, that just means that they already feel super confident about stuff, but they also want to make sure that their friends feel confident about what they have to say.
We have to stop.
I just
I
have
know.
a real quick quote.
No, I
Just
know.
real quick.
Put it here. Don't lose it. Because we're gonna act like today.
I was gonna add on to what
sorry.
Cory was saying.
But listen, Ethan, we're gonna come back to this question and you'll be able to say, right? So we got through
2 questions.
1.5 questions.
1.5 questions.
I need 3 favors from you before you leave. Okay, listen very carefully before you move. Okay, the first favor I need is that everybody needs a post-it note. And on that post-it note, I want you to write at least one. It could be more than one. What are some questions that are going through in your mind right now? And so let me make sure you and I understand each other what I mean by question. Health, academic stress, identity, understanding identity, not being ashamed, self-acceptance. So it can be very book-based, right? Or it could be thematic-based. Okay, write down at least one question, and when you're finished with that, stick it to your paper that you're using as an observation paper. I want to collect those before you leave, because I'm going to pass them back out to you tomorrow as if this class never stops. All right, and then the third favor that I need from you is just maybe kind of straighten up the chairs a little bit before you leave too. Yes?
I'm not going to be here tomorrow because I'm going to my dad's house.
Okay, let's talk about that, me and you, later, okay? Because I don't want to take everybody's class time for me and you question. Okay? Give me a question that's in your head. Put it down on that sticky note. Give me that paper with that sticky note on it. Okay, and then make sure you have your materials.
What if it's
Something
not
that
really a
you're
question,
curious
but
about.
Something I want to say.
No, it's got to be a question. Give me something you're curious about. You want to set those right here? Yep. If you've got extra Post-its, we'll put it on the hot seat here, and I'm going to take your paper. Take a look at Landon. He's got his paper he's turned in. He's got his Post-it note on it.
What if that sounds cold?
What do you mean?
What if it was a cold soup?
It was kind of a cold day. At least Corey warmed it up a little bit.
A little bit.
It'll get warmed up tomorrow, I bet you.
Last time we did it, it was over there by the vents, so it was really cold.
Oh, next to the sun. That's not out
The
today.
sun.
If you've got Post-it notes on the floor that could use, like, time to pick up, where's your Post-it?
Wire folded
That's
paper.
what I was doing, time to get your Post-it.
Did we need to put our name on this video?
No, because you're gonna attach it to your paper, right?
I tried to make one yesterday.
Wait,
I got it good. And then
So I'm gonna hand that back to
didn't
Nick,
work.
right?
So
that's
I didn't know
his
how to do it. I just
yeah.
threw a folded piece of paper.
I will write you a pass to class. I want you to get this from you before you leave.
I must go. My people need me.
I already have your paper. You're free to go.
Are we gonna continue this question tomorrow? Oh my goodness, great, because I have a lot of points to make. I don't
We're
want
just
to.
gonna take like
I'm looking at the. I didn't speak.
Oh, Alexis.
Hey, Jacob. Jacob, can I have a little orange bar? You said that, that they were choosing
Just add one. You can have more than one.
I
Just one.
am so cold and it's always freezing in her room and I'm gonna die.
Hi. Well, we're gonna get this room back in order first so we can kind of talk about life here. Thinking about doing mega table. What do you guys think? Have we ever done mega table in here? Nope. If there's any posties on the floor, we can pick those up and throw those away.
Okay.
Okay.
What? He said he asked you. I said, no, he didn't. He just grabbed it and get him back. Okay, later.
Yeah, let's move the chairs on each side. It's gonna look like a big Thanksgiving Day table. Yep. Yeah, there you go.
Do we need these tables?
You need these tables.
You go. Oh, I don't know if we'll need all those. Let's see what this one does. See what I'm doing? Use really long mega table.
What happened with this?
We'll see if we can get all the chairs around it though.
You see whatever you want.
Cost probably $1, maybe not so much. $1 needs a little support. Agree, Austin. Now people gotta get in there, so we don't wanna make it too tight, right? We could do another one over here. You met Wyatt colors though, right? Like, we need some space. Right, please do one here.
We need more.
So how many
We can do
chairs?
the table.
We can put that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that, that's a good idea. Like instead of long ways, do it this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miss Bob. I'm here to ask about it tomorrow, so since I'm not gonna be here.
Okay.
And, is there gonna be homework or anything tomorrow?
Today, during class, we're gonna work on your well-remembered events, so if
Okay.
you don't get that finished,
Okay.
that'll be yours to do. And then make sure that you have your parts for your Socratic to turn into your Unit 2 folder if you typed it. Did you type it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Because it will assess that at work. There you go, cool.
Big.
And then circle responses. Didn't we do circle responses? Were you from this morning? I want you to think about those questions that you wrote down. I'm gonna start jotting those questions. Finish your Socratic stuff. Did you finish? Well remembered events and things. So we're gonna have this in class conversation.
Oh.
So.
Alright,
stay
my boots and I will stay
Because of
because I'm trash.
Okay, I want you all to join me at Chewy, you alright, dude?
Yeah.
Playing your game?
Yeah, it's basketball game.
I was one student one year. She used to have her phone in her hoodie, and she used to text her friends all the time, and she could look at me and have a conversation. And so she was doing inside her hoodie. And she was just like that gifted at texting.
Oh my god. I can't do that.
Can you imagine?
I can't multitask like that.
So you're probably looking at her like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? We're gonna talk about this hour.
I like the new setup.
You like to make a table?
Yes.
Okay.
What was that?
Go get it.
Snow today.
No, tomorrow. No, it's supposed to snow till like.
Oh, I want to snow today. Don't you do it.
It's because like then.
Yeah, because then we have to make the days up.
Exactly.
My Wi-Fi
So
isn't
then
working.
it's just, it goes into your summer.
Exactly.
Lennon, you need to update your homework. It's your set, please.
I'm not gonna
Y'all have any homework?
right now.
What'd you do? I thought we still had practice for ag, so I dropped it off.
Wait, if my Chromebook says it needs update.
And they're doing paper airplane stuff. And only you yelled at me.
Yeah, my part of it.
So you want us to turn the WRE folder?
Yeah, please.
My Wi-Fi is not working.
When it gets there, that's what I want you to do. Are you hanging out with us? Or are you doing? Oh, is your homework not working today?
the one that I wanted.
And we tried repeating the people airplane stuff, and she's yelling at everybody that walks by.
You have to get out of the way. Are we? Do we all? Not the strongest today.
Wait, is your computer working?
Jacob, is yours working?
Mine's not.
Is it because you're on your phone?
Yes.
And my
Our class? 9.
Kendall had a lot of stuff.
Why did you participate?
Like that?
question.
I know. Kendall had a lot.
It'll-
Yep, that'll work.
Well, while we're sitting here.
But, at 11 times, common people here, because not one of us needs a print.
We're printing in flash.
Well, if you're gonna be prepared.
If you are on the Water River, then it's okay. If you have leftover thing that had the big fist and it had the hornet and everything on it, that was designed by a group. So we're gonna just do it as a campaign, right? You're gonna be creating a campaign ad or a campaign over something that you researched. You're gonna give it a slogan. You're gonna give it a logo. You might be creativity and self-acceptance and forgiveness and gender, and we are something. Well remembered events is going to be everything up until now. So something that you remember really well. Your anchors, your the Socratic, anything goes that we've experienced under this unit. Yeah.
I might do mine on like the Bellevue the Plain Arlington Deer now. I already did one on that.
That would have been like
That behind it.
that was uniform. So why don't we just saying?
Like the interview with you and then.
Yeah. So like.
Social media.
Let's see if I can find a good marker. Here we go. Y'all should come sit down here. So you had your interview, right? You had social media. What else did we do throughout this unit so
Lemon
far?
5, wobble.
Okay, we did our Lumen 5s.
With anger interactions.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what else? Better?
Oh yeah. Lessons.
What do you mean by lessons?
Like mini lessons about it.
Like
Oh,
what?
that board thing that we did yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Like
The questions, we wrote down all the stuff with the expo markers.
Oh, yeah.
I came up with it.
What would you call?
No. In practice?
He said no practice.
What else?
We did that thing where we got our partners in writing, and we filled out
Thinkers
what.
away.
Yeah.
Thinkers away.
Word wizard.
What was the other one?
Coaches 3 weeks ago, right?
It was like for anchors.
Or is your internet not working either? You have to pick the event, and then you see A for your F there. Here's your consider the following questions in connection to. So the book is your you. You copy unit 1, what does it mean to be you? Erase it to put in unit 2. The 57 is right.
Everybody else gets in front of us.
As you guys just sit and watch most of the time.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yep, no, that's fine, that's fine. Why? We have no internet in Clark's.
What's up?
We have no internet.
Dang, that's TV downstairs.
I would start it and I say, don't be phone.
It's not on a game, it's on a light.
There's a lot of rich discussions that start for sure.
Oh, one more point. Let's go. One more point.
Right, like what are the ones that,
Not before I pump it too hard.
When you first girls, you have to do layups.
Well, that's just
I mean, I don't know what you well remember. Like, everybody's brain is different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, are we gonna come back to this again under unit 2
this is so
again
hard.
after this next half?
keep moving it.
Yes. So you'll be writing either a second or however many events you wanna do for this next half, right? It won't be unit 3, remember, this is like the first half of our unit. This is kind of like intermission, this is halftime.
Dude, no, that wasn't a 3.
But if you got some that's seen out to you right now and you want to
Dude, that's-
generate that,
Dude, that was behind
That
half
would be good.
court. It's so hard in split screen.
Everything's down. Your phones are down too.
everything's down.
So can you go look at something
We're
better?
melting! Rochelle, what are we gonna do?
I'm loving it. Nobody's calling. No one's emailing.
Yes. The tab idea, like, don't close your computer is what I would say.
keep my tabs up.
Yeah, so I,
I know, but if you close
Nobody likes you. I can get it first.
hey, at least I'm not spending $35 on two games. No, that was my brother. He texted me last week, hey, upload the conversation, so I can watch fast.
Fine.
that.
How do you shoot a 3? Do you have to be behind the red line?
So at least one person's coming, doesn't
You have to be on this game. It's Watch Dogs. Well, it's 2 games though. Watch Dogs 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll just watch today.
You know what would be the worst to have your birthday the day before Christmas?
That'd be amazing.
Because
Yeah, I drained your video.
Lemon.
My name's Noodle Pooch and
Mine's a big daddy.
no way, bro.
No, this is Patrick. Miss Marks, did you ever find a love
gonna
for
lose.
SpongeBob?
Boy SpongeBob.
That's good.
It's funny.
No, this is Patrick. The first day though, I had the first 2 days. Well, I was sick Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And they said my throat was hurting Monday and Tuesday, so my mom and dad just said stay home. And then when it was still hurting Wednesday, they took me to the doctor and I said, yeah, you have strep. So they said stay home for 24 hours. But I also had a headache and my stomach was hurting.
I had strep.
I didn't even do that Socrates and everything. I had to do it this morning.
I didn't understand it. And when I did it,
Well, then what questions do you have?
no, it was before when I did it, when I didn't understand it, because like I just had the question. You did?
What do you need?
Well, I didn't understand it, and but when I got
What
the
did you say that made you not understand?
Braden showed me this, and then he started showing me.
Showed you what?
It was the paper. It said your answer, then your tech support, and then he showed me his. I was like, oh okay, now I see it. And then he just all put the answer.
So like,
But I got it. Hey, Landon,
Ew, yup.
Big Daddy's 1-0. We're playing B.
You can't get tired of it. I mean, it's chocolate and peppermint.
Yeah.
That sounds really disgusting.
It's actually
Different people have different taste buds though, so I mean.
Big fact.
Did you have the witch's brew?
Oh, I did. It was
How was
nasty.
it?
Gross. It's my sister.
Right. See, I couldn't imagine making that kind of drink. I mean, remember the vampire one from last year?
Do you remember the unicorn?
I never made that. I made the vampire one, and that was.
Dude, I'm
Did you try the
41 and 2.
Why?
This team is so bad. You don't drink frappuccinos? Huh?
Oh my god, it has
Sugar. Are you one of those?
I'll do
sugar
the
You're gonna
Java
you do
chip,
this during your
blend it in with the banana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had
I get the same.
I don't like
pumps of
anymore.
vanilla.
Yeah, I love vanilla. I don't like
My
anything
sister
chocolate.
told me she
No,
likes
you
big
didn't
two pumps
do
of
anything.
vanilla, so I did, and it was pretty
You were
good.
the only one.
Without the syrup, without vanilla syrup, it reminds me of Robitussin.
Why do I run out of water?
I didn't
How?
know.
They made me take
Did
this
you
thing.
get
It was the
iced
worst thing in my life.
Yeah, or Americanos, or Macchiatos.
It swallow it and it tasted really bad, but it's supposed to numb my mouth. And it numbed it for like an hour, and like 2 hours. I mean, but it was the worst. I don't know.
How?
I would have rather just been sick for the rest of the day.
On my way here, they were already salting the roads.
It's not even
Are you
soggy.
serious?
It's not even beef tacos.
I can't ever hear in our classroom because first hour is always loud and nobody ever shuts up for announcements.
There's always.
I mean, yeah, but like I'm always in my seat and like then everybody's always talking and we can never hear. And then half the time we get up halfway in the middle of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ethan went like 8 passes later.
Pure swish. I'm 4-0.
He doesn't wait for me to shoot.
All you do is complain. Lennon, have you had to do a lot of double doubles? I have a sister and 3 brothers. I think one went to ISU. They all went. One went to ISU. One went to. I don't know.
I can't win this
Brody,
tournament against
Skylar,
this
and
team.
Trey.
It's okay, I get.
This team's
I get
so
texted by my
good.
mother sometimes. She's like, yeah, I kind of forgot about you. I'm like, well, thank you.
Missed you too.
Like Illinois, wasn't it?
He's so many taller.
I beat them left this year. Bad.
Well, it was 12 to 7.
How'd you get 12?
Did I get 12?
Can we go
I
when it
thought-
gets on the 19th?
She was a nice teacher.
Miss Bonner, is this how our tables are gonna be today?
I lost 3 games
Huh?
to the same 2 on the same team.
Yeah, I thought it was
You lost to the same team.
Twice.
You're gonna get your butt whooped with guns.
That's me that.
You're gonna get your butt whooped when Jasper beats you up.
She just put the Bismarck
Yeah.
on there.
No, that's bad. He's bad. No, funny when he wins and he's like dying. I'm down to 131.
I doubt that.
Get him, what? I wasn't eating at all.
Kate, you watch the Duncan Phillies here.
Oh, this year is the most I watched. It was like, I don't.
Pretty bad,
Let
right?
it if we don't qualify. Everybody's literally gonna go to high school if we don't qualify.
So now we're on and two.
No, junior high basketball team's 3A, I'm pretty sure.
We're talking about basketball.
Dang.
And
Jacob,
so-
isn't junior high basketball team 3A?
We don't go against any of the Golden Seasons. Yeah, they're still good. Like, you know that EPG kid I wrestled last year who placed in state? That 112? I'm the goat at volleyball.
You're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I can. I'm God.